Hey, what's up? It's Philip, and let me show you today how to use a PCG Foliage Tool. This is different from a PCG tool, and we don't need to use any graphs, we don't need to use any blueprints and so on. It's very easy to do, and it's very easy to set up and change values. For example, you can see over here, this is all PCG. I didn't put anything in this forest on my own. So let's start. Let's create a third-person project. After we are here, let's go create a new level quickly, just basic one, and go over here under the landscape and click create to create a landscape. We can just freely delete our floor, we don't need it. Next step is to go to edit and go to editor preferences, and over here under experimental, make sure to enable this procedural foliage. Just enable it. If Unreal Engine asks you to restart, just restart it. After that, let's go back to the landscape mode and paint some landscape quickly like this. Right click, go to foliage, and we need to create this procedural foliage spawner. This will be procedural foliage spawner. Let's call it my forest. And now we have our procedural foliage spawner. If you drag and drop it, you can see this cube. This cube will contain all of our assets that we will declare later, so don't worry. So we need to make this bigger. Make sure to select your procedural foliage spawner, and over here under the scale type in 10, and it will be 10 by 10 by 10. Make sure that it's a little bit inside your terrain, like this, the terrain. No, not too deep, just a little bit inside. And the next thing is we need to add some foliage. To do that, I will go to bridge, and over here log into your bridge, and you can download some assets. We will go with the local because I already downloaded this, and find some wild grass while we are here. For example, this wild grass, and just hit over here export medium quality. If you are logging and finding new assets, make sure to download it first, and you can choose the quality over here and just click add, and it will add it to the project. So let's go back to the content, and let's go right click and new folder, and this will be our PCG foliage folder. We will put everything inside. Open your PCG foliage folder, and over here right click and go to foliage, and we will add this static mesh foliage. You can add this actor foliage, but avoid this because this is super resource unfriendly, and this is a better way to do it. Static mesh foliage, click it, and static mesh foliage underscore, this will be our grass. Now we need to tell Unreal to add this grass to this volume. To do that, we will first need to open our grass. I will dock it up here, and as you can see, mesh, we need to add our grass. To do that, we'll go Ctrl space to open our content drawer and add some grass. For example, this one, just drag and drop it here and hit over here save. Now go back and open your volume, and over here you can see foliage type. Just hit this add element, and over here we will add not our asset but our this one, PCG asset that we created right now. So to do that, you can drag and drop and type in grass. You can find it over here, SMF grass, or you can just Control space and go to content, and over here PCG foliage, just drag and drop this SMF grass here and make sure to save it. Now if you go back to new map, make sure on the right side to select this procedural forest volume and scroll down until you see resimulate. Click it. And something happened, but we didn't see it exactly. And if you scroll inside, you can see that we have our grass, but it's a little bit off, so we need to adjust some values. Go to your grass over here, not the volume, but the grass that we added, our grass, and scroll down a little bit until you see this procedural. Expand it, and we want to expand this collision, clustering, and growth. Let me explain you a little bit over here. This collision radius, as it says, the collision radius determines when two instances overlap. So if you have two grass clumps, they will overlap, and the Unreal Engine will calculate which one has the priority. Don't worry, it calculates just fine. Over here, under the shade radius, this is the same, but it affects the shade. This number of steps means that if you plant a seed over here, it will grow. Then this plant will spread a seed, this one, and this will grow, and this seed, this plant will grow and spread another seed, and then this plant will grow. So from this to this to this, we have 3 steps. So if you change this to 1 step, this will be just this plant will just grow this plant, and that's all. This initial seed density, this means how much the initial seed you want to plant, how much plants you want to seed. For example, I want to plant 5. Spread distance, this is how much they will spread after the growth, and you can see these seeds per step. For example, if we had 3 seeds per step, this means that first step will have, for example, 3 seeds, the second will be 9 seeds, and so on, and replicate the natural process of growing foliage. Over here you can see this can grow in shade. You can click this if you want something to grow in shade, and if you click this spawns in shade, this means that will only spawns in shade and nowhere else. For example, this is good for some big levels where you need some for example, mushrooms that only grow in the shade of a tree or of a rock. Okay, we changed some values. Now hit save, go back, select your volume and click resimulate. And now we have a lots of grass over here, as you can see, and it looks fine. But we want to add some nice landscape material. We'll quickly do this, go to bridge, and let's quickly find this uncut grass. Just hit add, select your landscape, and here under the landscape material, just drag and drop this material. You can double click it, this material, go to global, tiling and offset to make it a little bit smaller, hit save, go back, and it looks cool. Let's go play from here, and I've hit F11, you can see our grass. Okay, we can close this, and let's add another patch of grass. To do that, we will go to content, back, and we go to our PCG foliage, and we will just copy paste this and rename it to big grass 2 and open it up, and let's go Control and space, and let's go to Megascans, 3D plants, wild grass, and let's add another grass. Let's add this one, for example. Don't forget, if you resimulate, nothing will happen because we didn't add this. I usually forgot this every time. Foliage type over here, click this array element, Control and Shift, go back to content, PCG foliage, and this grass number 2, and hit save, go back to new map, go back with select your PCG volume and hit resimulate. And now it will add some nice grass in between. Let's go on this grass number 2, and let's go a little bit down so I can show you something. If I go over here under the growth, you can see that this has max initial age and max age. This is practically the size of your foliage, so let's make this 50 and let's make this 100, just for experiment. Save, new map, resimulate. Okay, and now it added some nice higher grass over here. Let's now add some flowers and some trees. To add some flowers, we'll go back to bridge, and over here we'll choose some flower. Let's add this plant, and we will just copy and paste this one. For example, copy, paste, this will be our flowers. So open it up and go back to Megascans, over here, 3D plants chamomile, and add some chamomile, for example this one, and drag and drop it. If I save it and go to resimulate, nothing happens because we need to add in the PCG volume. So go to content, PCG foliage, and just drop flowers here, and now resimulate. They are a bit dense, so we go to flowers and reduce the density over here in the clustering, initial seed density to be, for example, 2. And grass, for the second grass, I will also reduce this to be 2. Under the clustering, you go over here, initial seed density also 2, hit save and resimulate, and it looks just fine. This looks just fine. Now let's add some trees and some rocks. To do that, go to marketplace and type in this Megascans trees European hornbeam. If you click this add to project and you don't see your projects, I don't see it because I'm using Unreal Engine 5.4. If I'm using 5.3, they will be over there, but don't worry, click add to project, show all projects, select your project, and select the closest version. This is 5.3, and click add to project. And after a few moments, you'll have this European hornbeam folder. Now let's add some trees, go to content, go up to our PCG foliage, right click, and we will use the default foliage, mesh foliage static. And let's type these trees, open it up, and as usual, go to European hornbeam, Over here, go to geometry, go to simple wind, and you can just drag and drop this here. We don't know how this will behave, so it's very advisable to go to collision, clustering, and over here make sure that everything is in a default values, and go hit save, go to our volume, and let's add our trees. Hit over here, let's go to content, SMF trees, save it, and just go lightly with all of this, because your Unreal Engine will definitely crash if you try to maximize all these values. So make sure to save often and don't be like me. Let's click resimulate, and we don't see our trees. This is not a problem with our volume, but this is a problem over here with our collision radius. So let's reduce it a bit, like 50, hit save, and let's resimulate it, and I hope we will see our trees. Nope. So let's go back and reduce radius to be 10 and hit save and resimulate. And as you can see, we have our trees, but our trees are growing in the direction of our landscape. This is not natural, so go back to trees and go up, and this change this align to normal. And we have, and if we go over here and click resimulate, our trees are now much more better. But you can see that this detail, it's not important right now, but maybe it will be important for you to push these trees into the landscape. And to do that, go over here to your trees, and for example this Z offset to be minus, let's go with 10 and minus 10, save it and resimulate again, and you can see that our trees are now a little bit inside our terrain. Sorry guys, but I really don't like these trees, so I will go back over here and I will use this European Hornbeam Field 1 tree. Drag and drop it, save it, and I really like this better, but they are too dense, so we need to make them a little bit, we need to spread them a bit. So let's change this collision radius to be 20, save it, go back, and if you hit resimulate, you can see that our forest now looks a little bit better. The last thing to do is to add some rocks. So we will go to bridge, and over here I think I have some forest rock. Click on a forest rock, download it, click add to project, and let's go back to our content, PCG foliage, and we can copy paste these trees, copy paste, but this will be our rocks. And let's add our rock, go to Megascans, 3D assets, and just drag and drop this rock over here. And let's save it, go to procedural forest volume, and hit this add element again. Go to content, PCG foliage, rocks, save it, new map, and resimulate. We can also, under these rocks, increase this collision, for example, to be 30, save it, and let's resimulate. And this is a little bit more natural, and we have our PCG, so we can increase the scale, for example, from 10 to 20, like this, and just click resimulate, and it will make your foliage and make your forest bigger. Of course, we can go F11, I can press G to remove everything, and Ctrl L to change the position of our sun, like this, so we have a nice scene over here. And this is it. If you find this helpful, let me know in the comments below, and I also have 75 tips and tricks about Unreal Engine that you can check out and learn more about Unreal Engine and be faster. And thanks for watching, have a nice day, bye bye.